Hello, in this video I will be explaining what happens to the brain when there is an emotional response. I'll be doing it in a very simple way so that you can explain to your children. I've used this way of explaining it to children as young as 4 and 5 and everything plus. So hopefully you can use this explanation to go through with your children what's happening to them, because self-awareness is key to emotional intelligence, including self-regulation. So if children are able to understand what's happening to them, they're going to be in a better position to control their emotions. So what I do is I first explain that it's the amygdala, which I call AMY for short, that is the emotional response to any situation. So when the amygdala is triggered, I compare AMY to a bumblebee, because the only three things a bumblebee will ever do if it finds itself in a difficult situation is fight, flight and freeze. And this is why the children will respond in any of those ways when they experience a primary reaction such as anger or fear or sadness. So what I then explain is, while Amy is in the driving seat, you have to calm down, because there is only one driving seat, and what we need is the prefrontal cortex to kick in, the rational part of the brain, which I call TEX for short, and I compare to an owl. So I explain that while Amy is in there, we have to calm down so that Amy can fly out and TEX can come back in, the rational part of the brain, which will give us reasonable solutions. So I get the children to draw this very simply like this. So here you see I've drawn the head with the brain, very simple. It's not an art lesson, just so that they understand it. And again, children as young as 4 and 5 can do this. I get them to draw something that symbolises Amy and explain the fight, flight and freeze here. And then TEX as an owl to the prefrontal cortex, explaining that TEX will give rational solutions, whereas Amy will only give fight, flight and freeze. The fight, flight and freeze response will come when one of the primary emotions has been triggered, which will lead to a reaction, whereas when we respond using TEX, we can come up with a rational solution. So just to give you an idea of what you can do to explain to your children how the brain works with the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.